Dr. Amanda Hayes pressed her gloved hand against the rusty Martian soil, feeling the fine granules shift beneath her fingers. 20 years of archaeological work on Mars had taught her that the planet held secrets, but nothing had prepared her for what her ground-penetrating radar had revealed. A perfect geometric chamber 200 meters beneath the surface of Valles Marineris. Dr. Hayes, the drilling team reports they're 10 meters from the target depth. Sarah Rodriguez's voice crackled through her helmet comm. But they're detecting some unusual energy readings. Hayes straightened up, her environment suit's joints whirring softly in the thin Martian atmosphere. The morning sun cast long shadows across the excavation site, where 3 massive drilling platforms stood like ancient monoliths. Define unusual, Sarah. The readings don't match anything in our database. It's like the chamber is powered. Active. A chill ran down Hayes' spine, despite her suit's temperature regulation. In 2 decades of Martian archaeology, she'd found remnants of simple bacterial life, fossilized water channels, and even primitive organic compounds. But nothing active. Nothing powered. Tell them to proceed with caution. I'm heading to the control center. The mobile control center hummed with activity as Hayes entered through the airlock. Holographic displays showed real-time drilling data, while her team of 12 specialists monitored every aspect of the operation. They'd fought hard for this expedition, facing ridicule from the scientific community over her theories about advanced civilizations having visited Mars. Now, standing before the readings that defied conventional explanation, Hayes felt a mixture of vindication and apprehension. Energy signature is intensifying, Michael Chen announced from his station. Whatever's down there, it's reacting to our presence. The main display showed the drilling progress in 3 dimensions, with the mysterious chamber rendered in pulsing blue light. As they watched, patterns of energy began flowing through the surrounding rock like liquid lightning. All teams, hold position, Hayes ordered. She studied the readings, noting how the energy patterns seemed to shift and flow in response to their scanning beams. Not random. Deliberate. This isn't natural formation behavior. These are programmed responses. The chamber's energy signature suddenly spiked, and a low vibration rumbled through the control center. Equipment rattled on desks, and warning alerts flashed across multiple screens. Energy surge. Chen's fingers flew across his haptic interface. It's establishing a pattern. These pulses, they match human brainwave frequencies. Hayes leaned forward, watching the rhythmic pulses with growing amazement. It's trying to communicate. The drilling team finally breached the chamber wall at 1447 Mars Standard Time. Hayes insisted on leading the first exploration team herself, despite protests from Mission Control back on Earth. As she descended through the access shaft in a reinforced environment suit, helmet lights illuminating the smooth engineered walls, she couldn't shake the feeling that everything humanity knew about its place in the universe was about to change. The chamber itself defied physics. Perfectly hexagonal, its walls seemed to be made of a single piece of unknown material that simultaneously absorbed and emitted light. But it was the object floating in the center that drew every eye. A crystalline dodecahedron, roughly the size of a basketball, suspended in midair without any visible support. My God, breathed Dr. James Morrison, the team's xenotechnology expert. It's not just floating. It's dancing. The artifact rotated slowly, its faceted surfaces rippling with internal light that shifted between colors humans had no names for. As Hayes approached it, the patterns intensified, responding to her proximity. Energy readings are off the charts, Rodriguez reported through the comm. But they're stable. No radiation danger detected. Hayes moved closer, drawn by an inexplicable sense of familiarity. The artifact's light patterns synchronized with her movement, almost as if, "It's matching my neural patterns," she whispered. "It's reading my mind." Before anyone could stop her, Hayes reached out and touched the artifact's surface. The crystal was warm, vibrating with a frequency that resonated through her bones. Suddenly, the chamber erupted with holographic data. filling the space with swirling symbols and images that moved too fast to follow. But one message, projected directly before Hayes's eyes, was crystal clear. At last, the children of Earth have found us. The thundering must begin. You need to shut this down immediately, Dr. Hayes. Colonel Marcus Reynolds stood in the makeshift laboratory aboard the Mars Research Station Gamma, his pristine uniform a stark contrast to the cluttered space. This artifact is now a matter of planetary security. Hayes didn't look up from the holographic data streams emanating from the crystalline dodecahedron. With all due respect, Colonel, you can't classify a discovery that could rewrite human history. The artifact pulsed with internal light, responding to her anger. In the 3 days since its recovery, it had demonstrated an unsettling ability to react to human emotions, particularly fear and determination. More disturbing were the images it had begun projecting. Vast armadas of biomechanical ships, worlds being consumed, and civilizations falling into darkness. This isn't a request. Reynolds moved toward the containment field housing the artifact. We have orders from. The crystal flared brilliantly, its light forming a barrier between Reynolds and Hayes. The colonel stumbled back, eyes wide. It's protecting me, Hayes said softly, just like it's been trying to protect humanity for millions of years. She turned to face Reynolds, her expression grave. Colonel, what I'm about to show you will explain everything. Sarah, initiate Protocol 7. Dr. Rodriguez, who had been quietly monitoring the artifact's emissions, pressed her palm against a scanner. The laboratory's lights dimmed as a new holographic sequence began playing. This time, the images were clearer, more deliberate. They watched as a species of crystalline beings, the Preservers, discovered Earth during humanity's early evolution. The beings recognized something unique in human neural patterns, a quantum irregularity that made human consciousness fundamentally different from other sentient species. There, Hayes pointed to a sequence showing human brain scans alongside alien mathematical formulae. Human consciousness exists partially outside normal spacetime. We're not just random mutations, we were deliberately guided to develop this trait. The hologram shifted, showing massive otherworldly entities emerging from tiers in space. The Void Hunters, where they passed, stars went dark, worlds crumbled, entire civilizations vanished in their wake. They feed on consciousness itself, Hayes explained, her voice tight. They've been cycling through our galaxy for millions of years, harvesting evolved species for energy. The Preservers found a way to fight them, but their civilization was already dying. So they left these beacons, these warnings, for species that might have a chance. Reynolds watched as the hologram showed the next predicted arrival of the Void Hunters. 5 years, he whispered. We have 5 years. Less now. Hayes manipulated the data stream, revealing more complex calculations. The artifact is showing signs of acceleration in their cycle. I estimate we have 3 years, maximum. The colonel's military bearing faltered as the implications sank in. Why us? What makes humans so special? Hayes pulled up another sequence, this one showing human neural patterns interfacing with advanced technology. Our consciousness doesn't follow normal quantum rules. We can make decisions that defy probability, create patterns that can't be predicted. The Void Hunters operate on pure mathematical precision. They can't comprehend or counter true randomness. The ultimate weapon against a perfect enemy is imperfection, Rodriguez added, studying the data. Human consciousness is just chaotic enough to be effective, just ordered enough to be controlled. The artifact pulsed again, projecting new information. Technical schematics filled the air around them. Ships unlike anything humanity had imagined, powered by technology that merged human consciousness with quantum mechanics. They left us everything we need, Hayes said, reaching out to touch a holographic engine design. Ships that can channel our unique neural patterns into weapons. Defenses that operate on principles we're only beginning to understand. But we need time to build them, to learn how to use them. Reynolds studied the schematics, his military training assessing their strategic implications. Even if we started now, even if every nation pooled their resources, we'd barely be ready, Hayes finished. And that's assuming we can solve the quantum computing challenges these designs require. She turned to face him fully. Colonel, we don't have time for bureaucracy or classification. Humanity needs to know. We need to prepare. The artifact flared one final time, projecting a single clear message. The thunder comes. Will humanity answer? Reynolds straightened. Decision made. Dr. Hayes, gather your team. We're heading to Earth. God help us all. But you're about to brief the United Nations. The quantum computing lab at the Geneva Research Complex hummed with nervous energy as Dr. Hayes studied the holographic readouts. On the testing platform before her, the first prototype neural interface lay dormant, a delicate web of crystalline filaments and quantum processors that had already claimed one victim. His neural patterns are still stable, Dr. Rodriguez said softly, looking through the observation window at the medical bay where Marcus Chen lay unconscious. The young quantum physicist had volunteered for the first interface test 3 weeks ago. He hadn't woken since. Hayes pressed her palms against the cool surface of the control panel. We're missing something fundamental about the integration process. The preserver's designs are perfect, but our quantum processors can't handle the load of human consciousness. Colonel Reynolds entered the lab, his face drawn with exhaustion. The last month had aged him visibly as he coordinated the global response to the impending threat. The Security Council's getting restless. China and Russia are threatening to pursue their own programs if we don't show results soon. We can't rush this. Hayes manipulated the holographic display, showing the complex quantum calculations involved. One wrong variable, and we're not just risking equipment failure. We're destroying human minds. The artifact, secured in a containment field nearby, pulsed with what almost seemed like impatience. Its light patterns had grown more urgent with each passing day, as if aware of humanity's struggling efforts to comprehend its gifts. What if we're thinking about this wrong? Dr. William Nash, the team's quantum mechanics specialist, spoke up from his workstation. We're trying to force human consciousness through quantum processors, but look at these patterns. He highlighted a section of the technical schematics. The preserver's design doesn't process consciousness. It amplifies it. Hayes rushed to his station, studying the data. The processors aren't meant to control the neural patterns. They're meant to resonate with them. She turned to the artifact. Show us the neural pathway designs again. The crystal responded, filling the air with complex schematics. Hayes traced the patterns with her finger, understanding finally clicking into place. It's like a musical instrument. The quantum processors are just the strings. Human consciousness is what plays them. But we still need more computing power than we currently have, Rodriguez pointed out. Even with this new understanding, our best quantum computers are orders of magnitude too weak. Hayes stared at the dormant neural interface, a decision crystallizing in her mind. Not necessarily. We've been trying to build up to the power we need, but what if we let the human mind do more of the work? She began modifying the interface's settings. If we tune the processors to amplify rather than control. Reynolds stepped forward. Hayes, what are you doing? What needs to be done? She finished the modifications and began removing her lab coat. The interface didn't overwhelm Chen because it was too powerful. It overwhelmed him because it was fighting his natural patterns. We need to work with human consciousness, not against it. You can't be serious. Rodriguez moved to block her path. After what happened to Chen, we don't have time for incremental progress. Hayes gently pushed past her friend. The Void Hunters are coming, and we need these ships. Someone has to take the risk. The neural interface gleamed under the lab lights as Hayes lay back on the testing platform. Technicians rushed to attach monitoring equipment as she stared up at the ceiling, her heart pounding but her voice steady. Colonel, if this works, you'll have your prototype pilot. If it doesn't, she managed a small smile. Make sure the next team learns from my mistake. The interface activated with a soft hum. Hayes felt the crystalline filaments connect with her neural ports as the quantum processors spun up to speed. The first wave of dizziness hit her like a tsunami. Then something different happened. Instead of fighting the quantum connections, she let her mind flow into them. The processors hummed in harmony with her consciousness, amplifying rather than restricting. The lab around her blurred as her awareness expanded, touching possibilities the human minds were never meant to comprehend. Through the haze of transcendence, she heard the artifact pulse, once, brilliantly. In her mind, a single clear thought emerged. The first thunder awakens. Then everything went white. 3 months after Dr. Hayes' successful neural interface test, the skeleton of humanity's first quantum consciousness warship took shape in high Earth orbit. The construction platform buzzed with activity as shuttles ferried materials and workers between the massive vessel and the orbital stations. Hayes watched from the observation deck of Unity Station, her neural implants humming softly at the base of her skull. The interface had changed her in ways the medical team was still trying to understand. She could feel the quantum fields now, see the probability waves that shaped reality. The Chinese delegation just arrived, Colonel Reynolds announced, joining her at the window. That makes all 7 major powers present for the christening. Hayes nodded, her enhanced perception noting the subtle quantum distortions around the approaching diplomatic shuttle. How are the crew selections going? That's actually why I'm here. Reynolds handed her a tablet. The traditional military hierarchy isn't working. We're finding that neural compatibility matters more than rank or experience. A junior cadet might have perfect resonance patterns, while a seasoned admiral's mind might reject the interface entirely. The tablet displayed profiles of potential crew members, each marked with their neural compatibility ratings. Hayes recognized the pattern immediately. It wasn't about training or intelligence, but about certain minds being naturally attuned to quantum possibilities. The Russians won't like this, she mused. They've been pushing their senior officers for command positions. The ship won't accept them. Reynolds gestured toward the massive vessel under construction. After your breakthrough, we've learned that the quantum systems have their own preferences. They respond better to certain neural patterns. We're having to rebuild our entire command structure based on compatibility rather than rank. The ship, officially designated Thunder's Wake, but already nicknamed the Pioneer by the construction crews, stretched nearly a kilometer in length. Its crystalline quantum core pulsed with the same otherworldly light as the Martian artifact, while its organic-looking hull plates seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal. Dr. Rodriguez's latest tests confirm it, Hayes said, turning from the window. The quantum processors don't just interface with human consciousness, they evolve with it. Each neural connection makes the ship more responsive, more intuitive. It's learning from us as we learn from it. The station's quantum comm system chimed, announcing the arrival of the final diplomatic team. Hayes straightened her uniform. A new design that incorporated neural interface ports and quantum resonance panels. As humanity's first successfully integrated pilot, she had become the face of the program, whether she wanted to be or not. The old power structures are falling apart, Reynolds noted as they walked toward the conference room. Neural compatibility is creating new hierarchies. We're seeing unprecedented cooperation between former rivals because the quantum systems don't care about nationality or politics. Hayes felt the quantum field surge as they entered the crowded conference room. Representatives from every major spacefaring nation stood around a holographic display of Thunder's Wake, their traditional political rivalries forgotten in the face of extinction. The Void Hunters had united humanity more effectively than any diplomatic effort ever could. Ladies and gentlemen, Hayes began, her neural implants automatically adjusting the room's quantum resonance to enhance her connection with the audience. In 2 hours, we'll witness the first full power test of humanity's prototype quantum warship. But first, we need to discuss the future of our species. She gestured, and the hologram shifted to show the neural compatibility data. Traditional power structures no longer serve us. The quantum ships choose their crews based on consciousness patterns, not rank or nationality. We need a new way of organizing our defenses, a meritocracy of the mind. The room erupted in discussion, but Hayes felt the quantum fields rippling with possibility. The old world was dying, and something new was being born in the crucible of necessity. As if in response to her thoughts, Thunder's Wake pulsed brilliantly in orbit, its quantum core resonating with the combined consciousness of humanity's hope and determination. "The ships will change us," she concluded, her voice carrying over the debate. "They already are. The question isn't whether we'll preserve our old ways, it's whether we're ready to evolve into something greater. The Void Hunters are coming, and they'll find a humanity they never expected to face." The quantum alert rippled through Thunder's Wake, like lightning through a neural network. Dr. Hayes felt it before the sensors even registered the distortion, a wrongness in the fabric of space-time that set her enhanced consciousness on edge. Multiple dimensional breaches detected in the Kuiper belt, Lieutenant Sarah Parker announced, her neural interface synchronizing with the ship's quantum sensors. 3 signatures. No, 5. They're using some kind of spatial folding technology. Ave stood from the captain's chair, feeling the ship's consciousness merge with her own. Around the bridge, her quantum-compatible crew members connected to their stations, becoming one with the vessel's systems. They had trained for this moment, but simulation couldn't prepare them for the raw alienness of what emerged from the dimensional tiers. The Void Hunter scout ships looked like twisted sculptures of darkness given form. Their hulls seemed to absorb both light and sanity, geometric shapes that shouldn't exist in 3-dimensional space, flowing into each other in impossible ways. "Main screen," Hayes ordered. Though the command was redundant, her thoughts had already activated the quantum-enhanced display. "Battle stations. Begin neural synchronization." The bridge crew's consciousness merged into a unified field, their thoughts flowing through the quantum processors that Hayes had first pioneered. Thunder's Wake hummed with power as its systems aligned with human intuition and creativity. "They're scanning us," Commander Michael Chen reported, his voice distant as his mind focused on the tactical systems. "Their attack patterns, their running probability calculations, trying to predict our movements." Hayes smiled grimly. "That's their weakness. Show them what human unpredictability looks like." Battle Formation Delta 7. Thunder's Wake moved with impossible grace for a vessel its size, quantum drives bending space around it. The Void Hunters responded with mathematical precision, their weapons reaching out with beams of pure entropy that would dissolve normal matter. But Hayes and her crew weren't fighting with normal physics anymore. Their merged consciousness guided the ship through patterns that defied probability, each movement a product of human intuition amplified by quantum technology. "They can't track us," Parker exclaimed, excitement bleeding through the neural link. "Their targeting algorithms are failing. They rely on mathematical certainty, and we're not giving them any." The first Void Hunter vessel fell to a quantum torpedo that phased through its dimensional shields. The impossible made possible by human minds, thinking in ways the ancient predators had never encountered. The second tried to retreat, its probability engines overwhelmed by the chaos of human tactical creativity. Then the neural feedback hit. Hayes felt it first, a searing pain through her quantum implants, as reality itself seemed to rebel against their manipulation of space-time. Around the bridge, crew members cried out as their enhanced consciousness struggled with perceptions it was never meant to process. Neural patterns destabilizing, the ship's medical eye warned. Quantum resonance approaching critical levels. "Hold formation," Hayes commanded through gritted teeth, pushing through the pain. "Our minds can handle this. We evolved to see beyond normal space-time. That's why the Preservers chose us." The remaining Void Hunters pressed their attack, their weapons now targeting the quantum frequencies that carried human consciousness. But with each assault, the neural network adapted, human minds learning and evolving in real time. "Pattern recognized," Chen called out, his consciousness pulsing with revelation through the ship's network. "They're not just trying to destroy us. They're trying to understand us. Every attack is an attempt to analyze our quantum signatures. Hayes's enhanced perception caught the subtle shift in the enemy's tactics. They're afraid, she realized. They've never encountered a species they couldn't predict. Lieutenant Parker, prepare the quantum core for full consciousness integration. Let's show them something really unpredictable. The ship's quantum core blazed with power as the entire crew's consciousness merged into a singular entity. For a moment, Hayes glimpsed reality as the Void Hunters saw it, a universe of pure mathematical precision suddenly disrupted by the chaotic beauty of human thought. Thunder's Wake moved like a dancer through impossible dimensions, its weapons guided by the combined creativity of 30 human minds thinking as one. The remaining Void Hunters never stood a chance against an enemy that rewrote probability with every action. In the aftermath, as medical teams treated the neural feedback symptoms, Hayes stared at the quantum readings from the destroyed enemy vessels. The Void Hunters had retreated through their dimensional tiers, but she knew they would return, and next time, they would bring an Armada. Send word to Earth, she ordered, her quantum implants still humming with residual energy. Tell them we've proved the concept. The ships work better than we ever imagined. But we need more crews, more training, and more ships. She paused, feeling the quantum fields rippling with possibility. The real war hasn't even begun. They're evolving, Dr. Hayes whispered, watching the neural pattern displays in Unity Station's medical bay. The quantum implants in the recovered crew members from Thunder's Wake pulsed with new energy signatures, their brainwaves showing patterns never before seen in human consciousness. Dr. Rodriguez adjusted her scanning equipment, her own neural interface allowing her to perceive the quantum fluctuations around her patients. The extended exposure to quantum fields is changing their neural architecture. Look at Lieutenant Parker's readings. The young lieutenant lay in her medical pod, her mind reaching out even in sleep to touch the quantum processors around her. Small objects near her bed would occasionally shift position without being touched, responding to her unconscious thoughts. It's not just physical changes, Commander Chen said from his observation post. Despite the neural feedback from the battle, he had recovered faster than expected. We're starting to connect, even without the ships. Watch this. He closed his eyes, concentrating. Across the room, Parker stirred in her sleep, then spoke clearly. Battle Formation Delta 7. Aye, sir. She was responding to Chen's thoughts, their quantum-enhanced minds linking across space. Hayes felt it too, a growing awareness of her crew's consciousness, like distant stars in a mental sky. The Preservers didn't just give us technology, she realized. They gave us an evolutionary key. The quantum processors aren't just tools, they're catalysts. Colonel Reynolds entered the medical bay, his normally stern expression softened by wonder. We're getting similar reports from all 7 prototype ships. Crew members are developing abilities we didn't think possible. The Chinese vessel Rising Dragon reports their crew can now predict Void Hunter arrival points with 89% accuracy. Precognition, Rodriguez breathed. The quantum fields are allowing human consciousness to perceive probability streams directly. Hayes moved to the central display, where battle footage from recent encounters played in holographic detail. Each engagement showed human ships moving with increasing impossible grace, their crews learning to manipulate space-time as naturally as breathing. Look at the pattern evolution, she pointed to the tactical displays. First contact, we barely understood what we were doing. By the third engagement, we're executing maneuvers that should be mathematically impossible. The Void Hunters can't adapt because we're not just fighting them. We're transcending their concept of warfare. A sudden spike in quantum energy drew their attention to Parker's bed. The lieutenant sat up, her eyes glowing faintly with internal light. They're coming, she announced, her voice resonating with harmonic frequencies. 3 ships, entering reality fold at coordinates 247 Mark 38. Chen nodded, already receiving the same information through their growing neural link. Australian destroyer Southern Cross is closest to the emergence point. They're moving to intercept. Reynolds watched in amazement as the medical bay transformed into an impromptu command center, the quantum-enhanced crew members coordinating defense plans through pure thought. How are you sharing tactical data without a ship's quantum core? We are the quantum core now, Hayes explained, feeling the neural network expand to include crews from other ships across the solar system. The technology isn't controlling us or changing us. It's awakening what was always there. Humanity was engineered for this moment, shaped by the preservers to become something greater. The tactical display flared as the Void Hunters emerged exactly where Parker had predicted. But this time, humanity was ready. The Southern Cross moved like liquid thought through space, its crews combined consciousness, allowing it to execute maneuvers that turned physics inside out. Each battle teaches us more, Chen said, his mind linked with the Australian crews through their shared quantum field. We're not just learning to fight. We're learning who we really are. The Void Hunters lasted less than 3 minutes against the evolved human tactics. As their broken ships retreated into dimensional tiers, Hayes felt a ripple of triumph echo through the growing neural network that connected all quantum-enhanced humans. We need to accelerate the training program, she told Reynolds. Every compatible human needs to be given the chance to evolve. When their main fleet arrives, they won't be facing a species fighting for survival. She smiled as she felt the quantum field's pulse with human potential. They'll be facing a species that has transcended its own limitations. The quantum sensor network around Saturn lit up like a Christmas tree as reality itself began to tear. Dr. Hayes stood on the bridge of Thunder's Wake, watching through both her enhanced senses and the ship's instruments as space-time warped under the pressure of incoming dimensional breaches. Main fleet emergence in 17 minutes, Lieutenant Parker announced. Her consciousness merged with the sensor grid. The scout ship data was accurate. It's larger than anything we've ever seen. Through the quantum network that now connected all enhanced humans in the solar system, Hayes felt the combined anticipation and determination of over 50,000 crew members. Each ship had become more than just a vessel. They were extensions of human consciousness itself. Battle groups, report status, she commanded, her thoughts echoing through the neural link. The responses came not in words, but in pure consciousness. 12 battle groups, each consisting of 15 quantum ships linked into unified cognitive clusters. The Russian-led Storm Front Group pulsed with aggressive readiness. The Pan-African Thunder Shield formation radiated calculated precision. Every group had developed its own neural signature, its own way of thinking as a collective mind. "Show me what we're facing," Hayes ordered, and the main display transformed into a comprehensive tactical view. The incoming Void Hunter fleet emerged from mathematical models based on their scout ship's data. The projection showed thousands of vessels, their impossible geometries threading across space like a cancer on reality itself. Commander Chen's consciousness touched hers through the network. Traditional tactics won't work against these numbers. Even with our quantum advantages, they could overwhelm us through sheer mathematical probability. Then we changed the rules of probability. Hayes opened her mind fully to the quantum network, feeling the combined consciousness of humanity's defenders flow through her. "Dr. Rodriguez, show them what we discovered." In the science labs of Unity Station, Rodriguez initiated the prototype quantum field generator. The device, reversed engineered from the Martian artifact, pulsed with otherworldly energy. The preservers didn't just give us weapons, her thoughts echoed through the network. They showed us how to reshape space itself. Hayes felt the quantum field expand, connecting not just the human minds, but the very fabric of space-time around Saturn. The gas giant's rings began to shimmer with new energy as quantum particles entangled themselves with ice crystals and dust. "We're not just ships anymore," Hayes broadcasted to all crews. "We're not just linked minds or advanced technology. We are the next step in human evolution, and we're about to show the Void Hunters what that means." The first dimensional tiers appeared right on schedule, massive wounds in reality that leaked darkness and geometric impossibility. The Void Hunter fleet emerged like a nightmare given form, their ships moving with perfect mathematical precision that denied the chaos of normal space. Through the quantum network, Hayes felt fear ripple through some of the younger crew members. But it was quickly replaced by determination as more experienced minds shared battle memories and tactical insights instantly across the neural link. "They see space-time as an equation to be solved," Hayes said, her consciousness expanding to encompass the entire defensive grid. "We see it as a song to be rewritten." Battle groups initiate consciousness clustering, begin quantum field manipulation. The human fleet split into its predetermined groups, but these weren't just tactical formations. As the crews merged their consciousness more deeply than ever before, their ships began moving in patterns that defied conventional physics. Space itself seemed to flow around them like water, responding to the combined will of thousands of quantum-enhanced minds. "They're scanning us," Parker reported, her thoughts tinged with grim amusement. "Their probability engines are trying to calculate our possible moves, but they're not accounting for one thing. We've transcended probability," Hayes finished, feeling the power of humanity's combined consciousness surge through the quantum fields. "We're not fighting their war anymore. We're fighting ours." As the Void Hunter fleet approached weapon range, Hayes felt a familiar presence touch her mind. The Martian artifact, still secured in Unity Station, pulsed with approval. Its message echoed through the quantum network, touching every enhanced human mind. "The thunder is ready. Let the storm begin." Saturn's rings erupted with quantum fire as the battle began. Dr. Hayes felt the combined consciousness of humanity's fleet surge through the neural network, 50,000 minds thinking as one while maintaining their individual creativity, ordered chaos that defied the Void Hunter's mathematical precision. Thunder's wake led the first strike, its quantum drives bending reality as it charged through the enemy formation. Behind it, the Russian battle group Storm Front split into impossible angles, their ships moving through dimensions that shouldn't exist. The Void Hunters' front line shattered, their probability engines overwhelmed by human unpredictability. "They're trying to adapt." Lieutenant Parker's thoughts echoed through the network. "Their ships are shifting attack patterns, attempting to find mathematical solutions to our movements." Hayes watched through enhanced senses as the enemy fleet's perfect geometric formations began to twist, trying to match the chaos of human tactics. But that was exactly what they planned for. "Now, Dr. Rodriguez," Hayes commanded, "show them why we chose Saturn as our battleground." In Unity Station's labs, Rodriguez activated the quantum field generators. The ice crystals in Saturn's rings, preceded with quantum entanglement particles, blazed with new energy. Space itself began to ripple as thousands of human minds reached out through the quantum network, touching the fabric of reality. "All battle groups," Hayes broadcast, "execute Operation Thunderstorm." The human fleet moved as one, their ships dancing through the quantum-charged rings of Saturn. Each crystal became a focal point for human consciousness, turning the entire ring system into a vast quantum processor. The Void Hunters found themselves fighting not just ships, but space itself as it responded to human thought. Commander Chen's battle group dove through a dimensional tear, emerging behind the enemy fleet. "Their probability engines are failing." His thoughts carried triumph. "They can't compute the quantum possibilities when space-time itself refuses to follow mathematical laws." But the Void Hunters weren't defeated yet. Their massive ships began to merge, combining into geometric shapes that hurt the human mind to look at. Energy beams of pure entropy lashed out, attempting to unravel the quantum fields. Hayes felt the pain through the neural network as several ships took direct hits. But instead of breaking the human consciousness link, the attacks somehow strengthened it. Every loss, every surge of emotion, every moment of human defiance fed into the quantum fields, making them more chaotic, more powerful. "They still don't understand," Hayes realized, sharing her insight through the network. "They see our emotions as weakness, but they're the source of our strength. All battle groups, full consciousness merger. Show them what humanity's thunder really means. The quantum network blazed with power as every enhanced human mind joined together. Ships moved in perfect coordination while still maintaining their unpredictable patterns. The rings of Saturn began to spin faster, quantum energy building to impossible levels. "They're trying to retreat," Parker reported, her consciousness interwoven with the sensor grid. "Their dimensional tiers are starting to open." "Not this time," Hayes commanded. Through the unified consciousness of humanity's fleet, she could feel the quantum fields reaching critical mass. "Dr. Rodriguez, initiate the final sequence. Let's show them why the preservers chose humanity." The quantum energy in Saturn's rings reached its peak. 50,000 human minds focused their combined will through the vast quantum processor they created. Space itself began to buckle, not from the Void Hunters' mathematical manipulation, but from the sheer chaos of human consciousness unleashed. The effect cascaded through the enemy fleet. Their dimensional tiers collapsed, the quantum chaos disrupting their perfect calculations. Ships that relied on probability and mathematical precision found themselves trapped in space that responded only to human thought. Hayes felt the moment of victory through the neural network, not as triumph, but as transformation. Humanity hadn't just won a battle. They'd evolved into something new. The quantum technology hadn't changed them. It had awakened what was always there. As the last Void Hunter ships imploded, their probability engines overloaded by quantum chaos, the Martian artifact pulsed one final time. Its message reached every human mind through the network. "The thunder has spoken. The galaxy now guards itself." In the aftermath, as the quantum field settled and the human fleet regrouped, Hayes looked out at Saturn's still glowing rings. Humanity had faced extinction and instead found transcendence. The stars themselves seemed brighter now, beckoning to a species that had discovered its true potential. "Send word to Earth," she broadcast through the neural network. "Tell them the war is over. And tell them we're ready for what comes next."